wanted to pick your brain and actually get the facts on the ground that, did you make money off this?
You could go anywhere, so people were just engaged in boredom shopping. And that's when e-commerce actually pivoted.
My guest today is Nida Siddiqui, who is GM at Alkaram, which is very exciting for me because I love clothes.
We've done a research and we realized that the consumers in Pakistan, they do not like to click on the sidebar menu. They basically want to just scroll through the entire web, and it's all pictorial experience for them. That's what I'm talking about.
Where is the stuff? Why do I have to do so much hard work to find the product? One of the things that Pakistani online shoppers are notorious for is the COD and the returns.
What actually stops your returns and cancellation is to ensure that your TAT is actually the same day or the very next day.
You're like the first daughter. That's like a hazard of the occupation test case. Yeah. Hi, welcome to another episode of She Talks Business with me, Khizra Munir, your Karachi host. And my guest today is Nida Siddiqui, who is GM at Alkaram, which is very exciting for me because I love clothes. Okay, Nida, so you are GM of e-commerce at Alkaram. Those are some big shoes to fill. How did you get there and what was this journey?
Becoming GM of e-commerce just did not happen, of course. It's been a long journey. I actually started off my e-commerce journey from TCS, where I was looking into women's fashion category. So I learned vendor management, operation management from there. Then I moved on to my last employer, Bonanza Satrangi. And I was responsible to basically set up the entire e-commerce and have it up and running. And I worked there for a good 5 years. And after that, I now work for Alkaram Studio. And there again, Alkaram e-commerce was also like a startup challenge that I took up to ensure that the systems are in place, the operations are up and running, and then again, the business financial side of it. So I look into all of that. So this journey has been extremely captivating for me. I learned a lot in this entire process. I got to learn tech, which I am not a tech graduate, but I started learning tech, the business side of the things, the product side of the things, and digital side of the things. So it's been a long journey, and I'm still learning. I feel that this is so fast-paced that you learn one thing or the other every day. So this has been my journey so far. And apart from e-commerce, I'm also associated with the academia. I'm teaching, again, e-commerce at a couple of universities. So that's what I do, yeah.
And so as GM of e-commerce, what does your role specifically entail?
So for me, I'm supposed to oversee end-to-end online business for the company. From the time the customer places an order at our website, to the point of dispatching, to ensuring that the financial recons are done, to making sure that we achieve our month-on-month target and eventually year-on-year target, we have to see end-to-end business. And while we are at it, we have to keep adapting to the new technology and keep advancing at the same time. Because let's be honest, customers are not loyal to a certain brand anymore.
Right.
Whoever gives you a better bargain, and e-com, usually customers are bargain hunters. So anytime they see a better bargain, they will go towards it. So you have to keep the customers engaged. You have to offer a better experience. You have to make sure that you have something or the other to offer that will not only enable you to achieve your target, but also that would resonate with your customers as well at the same time.
So we keep throwing around the term digital transformation, and I think we've seen that a lot with e-commerce, as you just mentioned. How would you sort of contextualize digital transformation in the e-commerce space?
So I agree with the fact that the word digital transformation has been thrown a lot recently, and for digital transformation, someone would assume it probably means having a new digital strategy. Somebody would assume having a new ERP. Somebody would assume that it's mainly an overhaul of how your front end appears, be it your website or your social media pages. But in my understanding, it's a mix of everything together. It's a joint effort of all these things together. And by digital transformation, what I mean is the overhaul of the entire e-com business, how it appears. From making sure that your digital strategy is on point, your social media is on point, it all has some synchronization, and your website front end or back end, everything is connected and there's something that is keeping everything binded together, and at the same time enabling and ensuring that your experience, not only for the customer but also as an end user, is seamless. So for the brands that I work for, I've ensured that we set up the right ERP, we set up the right tools. I've been ensuring the fact that the customer experience on the website, the UI UX is seamless, so that they find it more engaging. I would like to take a moment here and to mention that back in 2020, before that, most e-com website you would see would have this jarring black and white color.
And it was like an afterthought.
It wasn't, it was like everybody was doing these black tickers and it was all white text and just black everything, right? And this is when I was associated with my last company. And I was thinking, I love the color pink, I'll be very honest. And I have no shame in admitting I love the color pink. So I decided that, how about we, experiment with something new. Let's come up, because we're catering to the female audience. They are the ones who shop from us the most. I decided that how about we try with a little tinge of pink. And we were also launching at that point an AR, augmented reality technology for the cosmetics category. So that was the first time. That was the first in Pakistan. So we decided to have a complete overhaul. Let's do little pink everywhere, here and there. Put like a neat, clean aesthetic. Have better creatives on the website. And somehow that got a hit. And then I started noticing a lot of SMEs, a lot of little, other websites, even the competition websites. I started noticing a tinge of pink, because they realized that, your front end should not appear so dull, so black and white, so in your face, so jarring. And I think that's what made me feel good about something that we brought and was a little different experience. And now I'm trying to pivot from that pink thing that I have going on, and we are planning something different. And again, I would like to also emphasize on the fact that I believe that when you're working on your UI, UX or front end, it should be something that comes from your heart and resonates with your brand, rather than something you pick up from anybody who's doing anything internationally. And now I feel a lot of websites have started popping up and they're actually quite engaging. So it's a good thing to see.
So, and I think because you were paying attention and you were sort of in tune to your audience, that is what made it more effective. What was the shift that happened? I feel like the shift that happened post-COVID, or like COVID just sort of stepped on a button and suddenly e-commerce took off here. I mean, I know, the industry has been trying to get Pakistanis to buy online a lot more, but do you think it literally took us being stuck at home and not being able to physically go to a shop and buy something to become more e-com savvy?
Actually, that's true. Globally, there has been a trend of e-commerce. I think 40 or 55% sales are driven through e-commerce only. Though they have brick and mortar, but they have other opportunities to, for leisure. They drive out, they have something or the other going on. Unfortunately, in Pakistan, in KLI, that's where we get most of our orders from. There literally is no other outlet for leisure apart from shopping and food, and right. So we're stuck in that rut.
Yeah.
So with COVID striking, nobody could travel anywhere, nobody could go anywhere. So people were just engaged in boredom shopping, and that's when e-commerce actually pivoted. At that point, brands, even our 3PL partners, were not ready to cater to the load.
Yeah.
This was something that was massive. It was shocking. A lot of orders were cancelled. A lot of orders were delivered. People were going crazy. People were going nuts. They were inquiring about their orders. But then again, I think companies are not even equipped or armed.
Right.
Back then, especially for retail e-commerce, we did not have WMS as well. Most companies still don't. Because warehouse management system.
Okay, got it.
And the reason for not having that is because we are the country which believes in the term jugaad.
Can you explain jugaad in this context?
It's called hack. So what we want to do, we want to semi-automate our operations. So we want to have control over what we do. So we tend to go through a way that we can hack into the system, and not everything is fully automated. Back then, it was even more terrible because we did not really at all have systems aligned. Our 3PL logistics were not ready to handle so much load. And what am I even talking about, just Pakistan? Walmart, for that matter, had to cancel a lot of orders, and they were not also equipped to handle the load that Ecom brought on.
Yeah.
And that's when, especially in the Pakistani setting, the company owners realized that the only way to move forward is also, that's when they actually started taking e-commerce seriously. So from 5%, even for the biggest brands that we have in Pakistan, from 5% share to 35% share of the business, that's how they have grown ever since COVID. And right now, some have been able to retain that share. For some, it has decreased to 15% or under 20%. But the companies which realize that e-com has better potential and it actually has a better operating profit as well, started investing more in their systems and operations for e-commerce.
So you mentioned how e-commerce is very customer facing, and like you wanted to sort of cater to what appeals to the customer, which is where the insight for the pink came in with your earlier decision. So the customer experience intersects at the offline level and the online level. How do you manage that intersection?
The ideal way is to be able to tap onto the audiences from both the ends.
Yeah.
Basically run retargeting and engage both the audiences together. I've been discussing omnichannel and multi-channel lately. And unfortunately for Pakistan, the brands and the companies who have been existing for a while, they actually have multi-channels going on. So basically you have your operation management system, you have a WMS, warehouse management system, and then you have a company ERP. Now all of this is not in sync with each other, but then they perform their processes separately, and end result is somebody manually updating data onto your basic ERP, or you're running multiple channels differently, but they're not all in sync. Omnichannel, on the other hand, is where your entire ERP, be it something that you're using in e-com, be it something you're paused from your retail store, and the company system that you have that's called ERP, it's all synced together. So the information or the communication is all seamless. And let's suppose you work with data, or let's suppose you work with stock. So everything is available for the end customer to use, and for the end user, the entire journey is seamless. So that's a difference. So now it's not just these systems that I'm talking about, but also your digital, your Meta, your Instagram, all of that information from your customer experience platform, that is also sync with your company ERP and your OMS and your WMS, so that everybody is able to have an idea which order was there, which customer contacted you at which point, what have they ordered. Now coming back to your question, how do you intersect the offline audience and the online audience? The way to do is, because once you have an omnichannel deployed, your end-to-end, the entire customer journey and information is right in your system. So you can use that data is the king, to run your ads and retarget all the consumers that you have, be it in retail or in online. I'm assuming that was the question.
That was 100%. So what are some problems that you guys have faced that seemed like, oh, we didn't think of this? How did this happen? And how did you solve it, if you managed to solve it?
COVID was the biggest example.
Yeah.
Right off the bat. I could think of it. Nobody anticipated the madness of all of it. The amount of orders we received. The fact that everything was shut down. There was a lockdown. I think that's one period, oh my God, of my life that I want to go back to. It was pure madness. Everybody working from home. 3PL not being optimized, not ready to actually handle that kind of load. So I think that was one unanticipated dilemma that we...
How long did it take you to...
It took us about 4 or 5 months, to be honest. In Pakistan, I think it picked up from March till I think June. So by July, we were on track.
Okay.
We were able to excise the orders, cancel the orders that were supposed to be cancelled because there was nothing we could do about them.
Yeah. And that relationship management aspect of it, how...
That too. And then the fact that Meta score actually dropped for every brand. Because, you keep getting complaints or comments from anyone.
Yes.
Then Meta drops your score. So it's actually significantly, then it takes you significantly much more money, higher CPA rather. It will be actually, it will be higher CPA for actually, the cost of acquisition will be a lot higher to actually get one order.
Right.
So if your Meta score drops, so the cost increases. Not only the shipping cost and everything else cost, but also the cost of acquisition also increases. So you are actually stuck in that rut.
So a situation which is hypothetically awesome that you're getting a lot of orders was actually on the back end
it was a
fiasco.
Mayhem. It was a mayhem.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you, a lot of companies they started processing orders from their stores then. Because now this was definitely not sync. The stores are not sync at that point.
Yeah.
For most brands. Actually, I'm not going to say for every brand, for most brands. So it was all manual. So you're sending them the file, they have the stock, they're like, yeah, boss, we have the stock. You're sending them the file, they don't know what to do. You train them over the call, do this, that's how you pack, that's how you process, that's how you scan. They're scanning the orders from there. Chances of them able to manage the load is a lot lesser. Retail staff is then processing orders.
And also, suddenly you need more riders.
You do,
and in the time of COVID, you need more human interaction because you need to train these people and hire these. Oh my God.
It was madness. I think that was one time. I think I was like, what's going on?
What am I doing? Why am I doing this? Oh my God.
It was a mad time.
So, one of the things that Pakistani online shoppers are notorious for is the COD and the returns. Yeah. And that's because a lot of the times we're ordering without telling someone, or we're doing it COD and we're not home when the delivery happens, so that return happens. So how have you managed to keep the return cancellation rate under 10%? Knowing this, because I saw the number and I was like, how?
Okay, so what we've done differently is that we have actually optimized our customer experience team, the CS team, the customer support team, most organizations would call.
Got it.
How have we optimized them? They are not just your vanilla CS who are just, answering complaints and queries and whatnot. They are basically after 3PL's lives, if I would put it this way. So from the moment an order is dispatched to the status of it, where it is it in transit, when will it be delivered, is it booked, has it left the vicinity of the courier, now has it been delivered, has it not been delivered? So they actually follow all these statuses like an eagle.
Yeah.
And if something has to be returned, there's always, the courier tends to send you this entire data that these customers are going to, pick up advice, we call it in our terms. You please call up the customers and confirm whether or not they want to take this order or not. So we call the customer and we confirm, but half of them, most of the time, it's doorstep rejection. They don't want to take it.
Yeah.
So we actually tend to, we use our WhatsApp business for it then. So we store that data and we start, cross-selling other items to those customers through broadcast messages, through, getting in touch with them. So you wanted to buy something from us, maybe, incentivize them by offering them 5% off or maybe free shipping next time. But, do you want to buy it from again? So we constantly try to keep in touch, not only with the 3PL, but also with the customer. So we actually end up ensuring that the customer is converted.
That they don't do this to you again.
They don't do this to again, but they'll do it. I mean, again, it's consumer. That's one way.
Okay.
The other way is to ensure, and that's actually the main reason what actually stops your returns and cancellation is to ensure that your TAT is actually the same day or the very next day. For example, I have actually processed some order. It was placed last night. I'm supposed to make sure that it's out of my dispatch from my vicinity the very next day or the same day, if not the same day at least. So the moment it's dispatched, half of the time, I think 70% cancellation returns can be controlled if you manage your TAT. You ensure everything, the first order, first out, you make sure that it's dispatched from your vicinity the same day or the next day. The TAT is not increased to 3 to 5 business days because the moment the TAT is increased, the chances of consumer buying it from you will reduce.
The mood has changed.
The mood has changed.
Vibe has changed, the situation.
Especially during the sale days, because I'm on sale, some other brand on sale, everyone's on sale.
Yeah.
So whichever order reaches to the customer first, they will purchase it from them first.
Wow, okay.
So I think these are two ways we're handling it so far. And we're able to maintain it under 10%.
That's really interesting because instead of taking a really sort of negative approach to it, like, oh, this person is blacklisted from shopping with us again because they returned something, you're turning it into like a constructive situation where you're like, okay, let's see how we can win them over and make sure the next time they don't send it back. I think that's a really interesting approach.
And also we retarget them.
You retarget them, exactly.
But we keep showing them the ads.
And I feel like it sort of makes them feel a little better too. They feel less guilty. Okay, they're not mad at me. Yeah. I can still shop at Alkaram. Okay, that's really interesting. So working with Alkaram, again, it's a company that has a legacy. It's been around for so many years. When you're implementing new sort of technologies, how do you do that transition? How do you do that change and that new integration into systems?
Fortunately for me, both the organizations I work for in retail ecom, the management has been somebody who were willing to take the risk and experiment.
Okay.
And I would call myself very fortunate.
Okay.
That I have been able to pitch them the idea by showing them multiple options, and not just options in terms of tech and how fancy it appears, because a lot of times what happens in strategy is people can come up with the most fluffy of the fluffiest of the fluffy idea, but then they fail when it comes to executing it.
Right.
So you have to be, I'm very risk averse when it comes to making sure that my inventory or my orders are not going south.
Yeah.
And something is not going terribly wrong with my website, that I'm not able to actually garner the numbers I'm getting. End of the day, I'm responsible for the numbers. Yeah? I mean, all the fancy stuff is going to be on the side, but if I am not churning numbers, that will be problematic. So you take a deeper dive into which app or which technology you want to actually, because a lot of times, unfortunately, even in the tech industry, people tend to come up with these brilliant projects, but are they viable for your own business? Are you sure? Does your P&L allow you to actually implement this technology? If it doesn't, you cannot and you should not implement that technology. A lot of things I might find them very innovative and like futuristic, but I might not be able to deploy them on my site because they're not cutting it out from my P&L.
Yeah.
And maybe my sales are not as much as to support that particular tech. And maybe I need to still, build some muscles, grow a bit further to be able to adapt that technology. So when you're pitching something to your management, it's highly important that you do end-to-end sanity check that, okay, these are my number of orders. This is the expected sales that I'm looking into. This is the profit I'm looking into. Based on that, does it add up for me to deploy this technology or come up with this idea that will resonate with my management? Because end of the day, you have to look out for the brand or the business you're working for.
We've come to, in 2024, every experience is about how is this personal to me. Every consumer is different. Every customer is different. Everybody wants something that caters to them, and they want to feel, that whole main character energy going into everything. How do you make your sort of e-commerce platform feel personalized to your customers?
So, AI-based recommendation. That's one jargon everyone has been freely throwing around, AI. But in context of e-commerce, AI-based personalized recommendation is the way forward. So when you come onto the website, the banner you see, the wildcard entry you might see, the recommendation that you might see based on your user journey actually is one way to personalize something for you. Unfortunately, for a Pakistani retail brand, I can only speak for retail.
Yeah.
You cannot have it all going on like how a Western brand would work, especially for ethnic wear.
Yeah.
You have to show all the juice that you have. You have to show all the collections that you have. They have to be visible.
Yeah.
Now, Khizra, I cannot do, like, for example, you come to my site. I know you only want to buy ready-to-wear, so I'll just show you ready-to-wear.
Yeah.
That might work out, but there's a niche for it. We're still a growing e-commerce business. So I have to still show you on stage. And I'm just like, hey, you still want to buy? This looks nice. How about that?
Maybe you want to buy
Maybe you want to buy it, yeah. So I have to put everything out there. But the only way you can squeeze it in is through AI-based recommendations and, personalization efforts, and maybe a coupon that I will give to you when you enter my website, or maybe if you abandon my cart or abandon anything from my website, I can actually email you, reach out to you. Or maybe I can show you those pop-ups showing that some Mehnaz from Lahore bought this. Maybe you might be interested with the link right there. So I'm trying to show you something to engage you, at the same time also trying to cross-sell and upsell.
Yeah.
So I'm desperate. I am going to try to shove everything in your face because I want you to buy from me.
Yeah.
But in order to give you that experience, I'll also have to maybe have augmented reality. Something for a cosmetics category where you can just come on my site, explore the makeup without having to use a tester and buy it from me.
So I was looking at your LinkedIn, and you're using like a lot of like jargon, like Omnichannels and and like a lot of acronyms, and shoppable lookbooks and AR for beauty products, augmented reality. You mentioned that. Tell me a little about like all of these things, because you've already mentioned them, but let's talk about them in a bit more detail. Because augmented reality for beauty products on the Alkaram platform. Tell me about that.
So augmented reality was for the other brand, the last brand I worked for. That was for Bonanza.
Okay, got it.
So because back then we were launching our their cosmetics category.
Got it.
And the idea was to actually resonate to the millennials and the Gen Zs.
Sure.
Because the brands, fortunately, unfortunately, I've worked for so far are the legacy brands. They do not have a lot of resonations with the younger audience.
Got it.
So that was a whole overhaul, and that was a strategy basically to actually deploy augmented reality, and that was during COVID. You couldn't really go to the stores and apply lip colors or foundation.
But also
whatnot.
we've also actually all become really introverted
Germphobes
also.
as well, yeah.
Germphobes and introverted, and we're just like, can you bring it to my house and I can check it? Do I have to leave the house for this?
Exactly. So the idea was to just so that anybody can hold their phones or their desktop, apply the makeup, check the shade, and just order, and then get it delivered.
That
for
sounds
the
amazing.
same reason, basically. Shoppable lookbook is basically the idea to actually, like I mentioned, we as an audience want to see everything somebody has to shop. If you remember, our mothers used to go to these open bazaars.
Yeah.
And they would be like, brother, show us this, brother, show us that,
Yeah.
open this, open that, show us everything, and then we make our choice, right?
Yeah.
So that's the same, basically, generation or the generation after that's shopping online now.
Yes.
You got to see everything. So all your catalogs are right there. You pick and choose. You directly click from the catalog and you buy it. You don't even have to go to another page.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you just add to the cart. If it's available, product's not out of stock, you buy it right there.
Yeah.
That's just for the customer convenience. Again, it's all about the customer experience.
What about live shopping? I saw it with another brand recently, like not recently, a year ago or something, but no one's doing it anymore, or am I missing out on
There's
something?
a technical problem with live shopping.
Okay.
And that is something I've been trying to do since past 3 years.
Right.
The technical problem with that is either you host the live show on your website, or you show it, or you conduct it on Meta.
But if you
Both
do it
Meta
on
products.
Meta, how do you...
Either you do it on Meta or you do it on your website.
Yeah.
There's no connection.
See, that's what I'm asking.
And unfortunately, no developer, be it in India, be it somebody in Europe, Denmark, Germany, whatever sitting, they have not been able to come up with that app or some aggregator that will connect your website and your Meta together. So for example, if I want to do a live show on my website, at the same time I want it to be hosted on my Instagram or my Facebook.
Yeah.
Because of how do I get the traffic otherwise, right?
Yeah.
That is not there. So for me, doing it half-baked, if I do it on Instagram, I don't want to do it. I want to do it when there's an aggregator.
So, I mean, China started it.
They did. They are actually the champions of it.
But don't they have a solution for this? That they
Not
can sort
this,
of...
still, it's just like, I think...
like a
I could be
SaaS
wrong.
model or something?
I could probably be wrong because I last researched on this 6 months ago or 8 months ago. There could have been some development or advancement on that front. But I think yet I'm trying to crack it. If somebody can integrate both the things, I am their first consumer. But yeah.
So you also experimented with gamification. I think that's fascinating because just trying to come up with different ways to get people to come and then stay and then come back it sounds really fun. How did you go about this?
So we launched perfumes. And so we were like, how about like these fancy skincare brands? What do they do? They ask you which note do you like, which fragrance resonate with you, what is your style, and then come up with a quiz. And then we'll like, okay, you know what? Here you go. This is the suggestion. Purchase this from us.
Yeah.
We experimented it for a while, but for business reasons, because the category is something that the brand I'm currently working for didn't really want to pursue it further.
Right.
We decided to take it down. But I think that was more like a launch or promotional, sort of an offer to come up with gamification for that.
Okay. You mentioned CRMs and Magento and some other things on your profile. It sounds like a lot of things beyond digital marketing or customer experience. So how important is it for digital marketers to understand technology outside of their domain?
See, for digital marketing, unfortunately for most brands, what happens is your performance market team is outside your e-commerce department.
Yeah.
That should not be the case.
Got it.
Because unless your performance marketeer is part of your core e-commerce team, he's not going to be able or she's not going to be able to understand that what's selling, what are the challenges, why is somebody not able to process a certain order, how do you manage the inventory, how difficult is to actually the on-ground operations are, and how difficult and crucial it is to showcase what you're showcasing on your website.
Yeah.
So what we have done differently is to merge our digital marketing product together.
Yeah.
So what we've done is the product team is now also closely working with the digital wing. So now they are able to see what product is getting the most impressions and most clicks and whatnot. They're sharing it with my product team. The product team is now able to make sure that the carousel that you see on my website, everything on my website, the banner, the carousel is for me is an asset.
Yeah.
It's not that anything is there. It's like, mindlessly some creative artwork is right there. So they're able to see which are slow movers. They're able to see what are fast move, high best sellers, and they're able to, strategically onboard them and show it to the consumer right there. They're also constantly trying to, shift and shuffle your product listing page. We call it PLP, to bring up the slow movers,
Yeah.
bring down the slow movers.
Like you
show
shuffle the stuff around.
You shuffle the stuff around. Basically, I think there are apps for it. Until and unless the app is not working, there's some glitch because there's always some glitch is tech.
Yeah.
So you do it manually, but you do it. So now for a digital marketer to understand how e-commerce work, the tech outside, apart from your Meta and Google and TikTok, they need to also understand what is an OMS, what is a WMS, how does Shopify work, how does product work,
What are CRMs?
and what is CRM is.
What is Magento?
And Magento is actually a Shopify, not Shopify, I'm so sorry. It's actually one of the platforms where you host a website, like
Got
just
it.
how Shopify is.
Okay, got it.
So it's very important that everything is in sync together.
For a layperson like me, e-commerce is e-commerce. It's the, buying something online. It seems pretty straightforward. Yes, you have strategies, you have campaigns, but at the end, it's about going and buying something online. How do you keep coming up with new ways to do the same thing and new and innovative ways to do it? How does that thought process work?
I think it's very important to study the international market, not to replicate what they're doing, but to basically get in touch with the tech that's actually going on. Now, Shopify Plus is a global platform. Be it Magento or Shopify, they're global platforms. For these global platforms, you do have developers. Now, these developers are from around the world. We've been working with many international developers, and we have multiple features on our website that are from different vendors and developers all around the world. So you get the sense, you get the idea who is doing what globally and what's working out for them. For example, we work with this Indian developer. We work with the team ConvertWise. I'll just name them because they're doing brilliant jobs. So I would like to name them. They're based in India. And first conversation I had with my POC there, I was like, what is your take on the website we have? She's like, I'll be honest, Nida, I found your homepage a bit cluttered. And that's just not for you. That's for most brands in Pakistan. And while we have a very neater UI, UX, the front end. And I'm like, yeah, that's true because we've done a research right before launching our interface, right before launching our website. And we realized that the consumers in Pakistan, they do not like to click on the sidebar menu to understand that whether they want to buy Pret or Unstage.
Yeah.
They basically want to just scroll through the entire website.
They just want to look at pictures.
Yeah, and it's all pictorial experience for them. So they want to touch anything that's there on the homepage. So we have to make sure that everything is dumped right at the homepage for them to be able to understand and buy it.
And this is research backed.
So she's like, wow, now that's a difference between, similarly, Dubai, a very different UI UX. It's cluttered, a lot more cluttered. Again, because different ethnicities, different people coming and shopping from there. If you take a look at Noon or any other marketplace, well, they are supposed to be cluttered like that, but even other websites.
Yeah.
On the other hand, if you look at Zara's and H&M's, very clean, chic.
Very clean.
But again, the audience is different for them.
Yeah.
And somebody buying from Pakistan will have it's a very different target audience altogether. We're catering to the masses. This audience might find it very difficult to actually browse something from a neater background.
Honestly, you're right. I really don't like shopping online Zara, forget that. Like any international site that is too clean.
Yeah.
I'm just like, where's the stuff?
See, that's what I'm talking about.
Where is the stuff? Why do I have to do so much hard work to find the products?
I think as Pakistani nature, we want everything to be given to us on a platter.
Yeah,
It's like right there, just go on and just buy it from there. So yeah.
Okay, so that's really interesting. And then how do you decide what to actually implement? Like, you can't suddenly be like, okay, across the board, we're doing this.
Yeah.
How do you test something out in like a smaller sort of like a study and then see if it's working, or you do like a focus group? Like, how does that work?
In order for us to introduce any technology, the first thing that we do is test everything on UX. Do not do anything on your live website. I think that's a no-brainer. Anybody listening to me would know that, okay, you know what? Common knowledge.
Yeah.
But a lot of times I've seen people deploying things directly on your live website and then everything goes haywire.
Yeah.
You don't have to do that.
Okay, that happens too. Yeah, you're right.
So you do it on UET, right? And
UET is
it's basically your test website.
Okay.
Test store
that only you can see, but it's sort of like a mirror of your actual website.
Basically, yeah.
Got it.
So you test everything there. I think the first thing to do would be run it around your organization, have a smaller focus group there. And again, the best part with Shopify that I use is they offer a 14 days free trial.
Okay.
And then every app that you use will have some data or dashboard at the back to show you the numbers, to show you the impressions or clicks or whatever. you can gauge whether or not it's working out for you, and then take a decision from there. I think that's what I do at least.
Okay, got it.
And also, it has to resonate with your brand. You cannot just do anything that anybody else is doing. Yeah.
Right. So, obviously, you're in a GM position. At the same time, I'm seeing that you're so in tune to, you seem very hands-on, and I'm pretty sure you are hands-on. But obviously, what is that team that you've built for yourself to ensure that what the end product is very well researched and looked at through a sort of lens that I want to get the best of what's out there? What kind of team have you put in place?
To be very honest, I think the only reason for me that the businesses I've worked for, e-commerce has actually flourished. And for me, it was always a startup that I joined. And I was fortunate enough to actually build my team. And there lies the core of the success of any e-commerce business I've worked for. Because unless your team is aligned, they share the same vision that you do, and they take the ownership for what you do. And I believe in not micromanaging, because I feel that everybody's a mature adult. They have been made responsible for a task, and they know how to do it. And when you give people that space, the best comes out of it. If I have to score something out of 100, I think 70 to 80% success of any business that you're running depends on its human resource.
Absolutely.
If you don't have the right resources, they are not aligned, in tuned with what you want to do, I think no matter what kind of juice you try to inject, it's not going to work out.
What does an average brainstorming session look like when you're trying to come up with like a new sort of innovation for your e-commerce platform, or a new strategy, or like a new idea to set yourself apart from like other brands? So how does like an average brainstorming session look like? Does everyone just come in with their laptops and like their coffees, and everyone's like, "Acha, I saw this, and this brand is doing this"? So
I think I have a very open door and like open floor policy. I will not even call it door, because I am actually usually on the floor with my team and not even in my room, to be very honest. They would want me to go back in my room. So I think it is more like me standing and thinking, guys, you have to come up with a better idea. I think I was browsing through things. I figured that I like this.
Yeah.
This is the kind of technology I'm looking into. How about you all do your research? Maybe check other brands, what they're doing. Maybe check global brands, what they're doing. And come up with ideas. This is the direction I want to take.
Yeah.
Now, this is me going to the floor and telling them this is the idea I want to take, so that everyone comes back with their idea in a day or two, and they be like, oh, we came up with this, we came up with that, how about this? They present it to me, and then I'm looking into it. I'm like, yeah, okay, fine, go ahead, do it. Perfect. So for me, anything that goes on the website, I'm like super careful about it, because I have to ensure. But on the other hand, now I would use the word alhamdulillah and mashallah for the fact that, for like I mentioned, 70% of your success depends on your human resource. So mashallah for an amazing team that they are now able to actually come up and do their own research and come up with better ideas themselves. And a lot of times I'm like, am I rusting? How did you think of it? I tend to actually feel that, oh, wow, that's an amazing idea.
Yeah.
And then I tend to go into that zone, no, I got to research and like also like not rust my own skills, but like sometimes they pleasantly surprise me. And like I mentioned, you learn something or the other from somebody.
But that's also validation for how you've trained them.
Basically,
as a leader.
So I feel that one should keep learning, and there's no shame in saying that, oh, I don't know this, can you please help me out?
Yeah.
Help me understand this better. And there's no shame in that. I think the more you're open, people would be actually willing to work close to you and like help you and also learn from you, and you learn from them.
Yeah.
So, but I think with my team, I am very happy with the fact that now they're coming up with the ideas themselves for the most part. So I think we all can just try different ways. And I think it's a growing industry. So I think I'm always open to coming up, like, to understanding what new is anybody else doing. So, yeah.
Okay, so Nida, like, we're both sort of from the same industry and have a bit of some of the same background. When you shifted from strategy to sort of e-commerce, were there some extra skills you had to pick up? And what do you have to keep doing to have landed into a GM role?
To be honest, I think the attitude that I'm not an expert and I'm still learning still gets me to places. I remember I will not name the brand, which brand I worked for this for. I remember we had to take our website live and we had to shift the domain actually. Now, unfortunately, the team that we had in IT was of no support and we were supposed to do it ourselves. Now, I am not an IT or tech graduate. I actually learned how to develop the website, deploy these WMS, OMS, and these technical and difficult processes onto these systems on my in my organization via interacting with my tech partners and learning from them, working with them hand on hand. So the tech partners I work with them, I learned something from them, and I actually have been working very closely with them. So this is something I had to learn while this was on-job learning. Now back to the instance I was mentioning. So we actually YouTubed how to actually, deploy a different domain and shift the domain. And we did while watching the tutorial, me along with my one of my managers. And we were able to pull it off. Next day, there was some problem with emails throughout the organization, but that was figured out. But you have to take these risks.
Like you
have to take these risks. And I'll be very honest. YouTube. I am to understand business. This is all I've right now. I've just been talking about tech, but this is all about business strategy as well.
Yeah.
And ensuring that you achieve your targets. So there's a lot that you learn on job as well. Gross profit margins and operating profit, how to balance it out, what percentage, how much to spend where, and how to achieve the target. This is all something I've actually, to be honest, learned while I've been on job. So,
if someone wants to set up their e-commerce department, what are like the 3 top things they should do? There's a lot of new brands coming up. Obviously, advice isn't for like the big giants, but like if someone wants to get into that space and not just sell through Instagram DMs, but actually set up an e-commerce space, what are the top 3 things they should do?
They should first have a website. They can, if it's a small business, they can use their own Shopify's backend for operation management, for starters. If it's a bigger company expecting a bigger volume, then definitely deploy a operation management system integrated with your ERP.
You have to explain all of this.
Okay. So basically, first thing first, have a website.
Okay.
If I have an Instagram page and I'm selling really fancy and nice clothes, but how do I authenticate if I am like a legit brand? Because there are a lot of pages, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Anybody shopping would be like, are you even authentic? So for that matter, you need to Shopify. I keep stressing, I can't stress enough how easy it is to use. It's like using your own Facebook page.
Okay.
Very simple. So you get like a basic plan.
Yeah.
You create a website so that somebody would be like, okay, this person's injecting money into his business or her business. That means they're legit. Okay, of course, they have a website.
Yeah.
You create a website, you have like a nice shoot done. You have like as in by nice shoot, as in anything that's more visible.
Yeah.
Your product and your website should look like something that, people can resonate with. Then you make sure that you have your digital marketing team in action from day one. They're running your ads, they know the target audience, and then you take it from there. And at least 2 people should be there to be able to process your orders and hand them over to your 3PL and cut out a good rate from your 3PL, because a lot of times if you do not have the right rates with them, do not have the right deal with them, then of course your operations will be shaky. So this is somebody who's just a designer from home.
Yeah.
That's their path.
Okay, so because you've got like a marketing and strategy background and e-com also, when you're like in Alkaram, I don't know if this is a controversial question, but like how effective is it when you sort of, when you're having sales or when you're sort of trying to push sales, how effective does it, the ROI on using influencers in your exercises?
I think totally depends on your business goal. To be very honest, influencers are somebody you can bank on for the visibility of your products.
Yeah.
You cannot. It's more for engagement.
Yeah, like this is not a setup to put them down, because
basically.
I feel like the industry is valid enough. But like from a business perspective, I'd love to know.
See, for example, you want to venture into business in GCC or international. Yeah.
Okay.
So you see a lot of these influencers these days are coming up with these reels, the funny content.
Yeah.
Those ones, right?
Yeah.
And right into it, they see this, this certain brand has something delivering shipping right from UK or UAE. So, you can buy it instantly. Right within their content. They're very nicely, product integration is being done right there. So in order for us to tap into, and especially if you talk about UAE, I tell you, these marketplaces, Noon and Namshi, they go on product reviews. So they hire these micro bloggers and micro influencers who actually tend to write, you send them stuff on barter deal, and they actually tend to review your products. The higher the review, the better chance of you getting more visibility on Amazon and Noon and Namshis and of the sort. Even the Raz now from Pakistan. So these influencers are there for reach and frequency. But you don't expect conversion from them.
Okay.
And I'm speaking solely from an ecom perspective here because I haven't observed conversion. So my marketing team has always had these influencers like we did this, we did that, and we often have these conversations.
See, that's exactly
so
because
I'm because business, and they're like the ones spending, and I'm like the ones getting the money.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, great. I can create some UTMs for you to track their link. I may also have a tab on my website that says influencer, but it's not getting me nowhere. You want to have your objective very clear, like I said,
like visibility and awareness.
Reach and frequency. That's it. And it's just your awareness and visibility that you're creating. Do not come up with these ideas that, oh, we'll get the sales, because you won't. Let's have an objective very clear.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've been wanting to ask this question for a long time because it's just something that's always made me curious, because again, I'm from a marketing strategy / PR side, and I will always be in the space that let's use an influencer. You'll get visibility, you will tap into their audience, that awareness will happen. But I'd love to, this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to pick your brain and actually get the facts on the ground that, did you make money off this?
No, I think it's more visibility, reach and frequency.
Okay, which is valid also. Thank you so much, Nida, for being on the show, for making this conversation so much fun. E-commerce sounds like a very technical kind of subject, but you've really sort of given me such interesting nuggets. And the whole objective of having this conversation with you is to not have people like you listen to it, just people like you listen to it, but like a layperson like me who doesn't know anything about the e-commerce sort of technicalities, for me to find it interesting, and I found it very interesting. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
If you found this episode interesting, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.